Test 1, 2. Test, test. Test, test. Test. And once that light's on, you have 1, 3, and 4.
And this shows you what they're seeing.
Yes. I had to do one on order, but I noticed he was doing it again last night. That port is down. Or that plug is down.
We don't need that.
No. But I noticed he was doing it again last night. That port is down. Or that plug is down.
We don't need that.
No. You need this more when I start, like if you did the group one, because the screen here would be the Zoom call, and this is still my cameras. So it's a way of seeing two different at the same time.
You look scared. I heard you over saying, oh, he's gonna tell me somebody volunteered.
What was the first route back there also, so.
I really got some. It's just a distance. Because I'm not all that.
Robert, no. You want to know?
Bill said.
I'm not gonna bill it.
Not to put any pressure.
I told him for next year. Yeah. I just have to go in for a year.
How many active members do you have down there?
Actors,
Well, yeah, they're kind of.
we're going through the same thing you are.
Yeah.
People just. Yeah.
Three is your tailstock.
You're back in, you're back.
We're back, okay, great.
If I take the auto on, if you watch the screen, it immediately switches. If I put the auto on, oh, it fades. Yeah, I'm gonna train. Right now I have it set at 1 second, like I can go to 2 seconds.
Oh.
And then it takes a third fade.
Oh, you can all be remote.
Like a half second fade.
Okay.
And then we actually had this feature, we haven't used it yet. I can picture it. So you have the overhead there, and then turn the picture on, so you still have both screens. And a lot of times we do when we're doing something.
Well, yeah, so this.
Oh.
You can see what they're seeing now.
Shading.
The other cameras.
Unless you have. Well, actually, there is a setting where I can go for this.
Yeah, actually, that's it.
And the multi has got yes. Well, usually it's pretty, see the multi-view that's being put out, that's what's actually being put out to the internet. That's the multi-view.
Yeah.
For, for us to
Are
be.
you starting at poultry?
How you doing, Brian?
I prefer to just leave my program so that he sees.
So fair routes last night till 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, where?
Fair routes.
Oh, that's where all those blanks are. I cut them all about that long.
And, that's literally when we've done, when the strings on. But you can just take your mouse and touch that button.
You're seeing that opal stuff, right?
Although
that merging
Could we shut the door in the back so we don't have that noise? Okay, let me.
That monitor's not on. Oh, it's on, but it doesn't get a picture.
No signal.
This one here, no signal.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Hang on, Lee.
I'm hanging.
Hang on.
Okay.
You want to see pull-ups?
I can probably do two. This way, not that way. Well, maybe two that way. Morning, Dan.
Can you see this? No, it's black on black. I mean,
No, need more light. Okay, while we're messing with that, one of our neighbors threw out several packages of this 1/2-inch shrink tubing. So if anybody wants some, it's really good for covering your plier handles like this. Electrical work too. You just take a lighter and heat it up, or a hair dryer will probably work, or a torch, and it shrinks down in size and completely encompasses whatever. I did a whole bunch of pliers, and it gives you a real good grip on them. So if anybody wants some, there's a bunch in here. I think there's 5 in each package. So take a couple pieces.
All the same size?
All the same size, 1/2-inch. They threw out like 8 packages like this. They're brand new, unopened. I know. We're out riding our bikes, and I went, oh, I'll take that. So, yeah, could you throw that on the back table over there or something?
Showing up.
You know, the secret of that stuff is when, if you have it tie a knot on either end
Yeah.
so that it doesn't collapse upon itself. So it keeps the air in there. If you're going to keep it, or you keep the tie.
Oh, okay.
Or seal the ends.
Yeah. Well, I can't see that one.
too bad. You don't get to look at yourself.
Oh, okay. All right. We got it worked out. Welcome, everybody. Today's demonstration, I will be talking about inlaying different materials into your pieces, because it can really spice up a thing. See, this is, I make these little birdhouses, and I've been inlaying this synthetic opal in there, and it is really neat stuff. It comes in about, I don't know, 20 different colors from Craft Supply. This is malachite stone.
The top camera's on now.
The top camera's on. Okay, thank you. And it really adds to a piece. See, like this piece, this box, which I'm going to make one like this, the top was just pretty plain grain. And I cut a slot in there and put a piece of cherry burl down inside, which I'm going to be using this piece on this lid. And then I cut a groove around it to true it up and inlaid the stone in there. And actually, this bark I added too, that one and this one, just to give it a little more dimension, just so I didn't have this giant field of the green in there. Now this box, the figure on top was so much prettier. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but there were some voids in there. There's a couple little ones on the bottom. And I decided to fill those with the artificial turquoise. You can use real stone, you can use artificial, or you can make something up yourself. So, I mean, for a while, the people in the Broward Club were going out to IKEA and buying the colored sand they have. You get a whole big bag for, I don't know how much, not much, and they were putting that in there. You had a question?
So do you recommend like the fine powder or medium?
Well, I'll go into that. So if you can see on this one, you can actually see the granules going on in there.
Is that malachite?
That's malachite. That's the actual stone.
Yeah.
And the same on here. What?
Is that soft enough that you could turn?
No.
Malachite,
No.
sand, yeah.
Well, there's other ways to do it too. So I like, it comes in a couple different consistencies. You have a real fine powder and you have medium-sized chunks and then bigger chunks. So I like to put the bigger chunks in, leaving it above the surface, and then filling around that with the powder, depending on the size of the hole. If it's a smaller void, you need to use the medium or straight powder. The powder is just one solid blue color. But if you put the bigger chunks in, there's some variations in the color. And I think it looks a little nicer than just a solid blue like my shirt here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Throw it, see what happens.
And the artificial synthetic opal or man-made opal, there's kind of a smaller chunks. It's not a powder, but they're smaller chunks. And then you have, that's called granules, and this is called nuggets. So they come in a couple different consistencies also. And this is a bunch of colors. You can get that at Craft Supply, and you can find it at other places online. In here, I have, there's glow powder you can additionally put in. And here is the crushed stone inlay from Craft Supply. And I basically used the turquoise one. I think I used the malachite too. But turquoise color from Craft Supply is this really vivid blue. And I buy this artificial stuff from, like this bag. So it's a 1 ounce bag is $11. This is artificial turquoise. It's a little softer blue, not so vivid. It's in the top of that big box. And this is by tuckersturnings.com out in Arizona. He has 3 different grades of this. There's a powder, this is the medium, then some bigger nuggets. And then he has a mixed bag, but this is $12 a pound. And the real turquoise stone you can buy actual turquoise. This is from the Sleeping Beauty mine out in Utah. I believe that's the state it's in. But you got to crush it up and go through a whole procedure. And you have 0 seconds of tool edge if you try and cut this with our tools. This stuff, you have about 10 seconds from Craft Supply. That Tucker's Turnings stuff, you got about 30 seconds of tool edge with this. And it's $12 a pound. And it's easy to work with. If you get the mixed bag where there's all 3 powders or consistencies together, that's $14. They also have a copper powder too. So we can pass these around. Yeah, then in the back here, the other one, this is all the different colors of the synthetic opal that Craft Supply has. Now, if you could just look at those 2 pages and pass it around instead of looking at everything in the whole book if you don't have those. That will help the other people in the room. Or you could send this around too. I'm not going to be using that yet. See, I take those bigger bags and I have these little glass jars. This one is the powder, and that's the medium chunks, and that's the bigger nuggets. So whatever size I'm doing, I'll just do that. We're going to go through that later. Now this is real turquoise in here. And Cook Woods, they have crushed turquoise, which you can buy. It's already crushed up. And I have a bunch I've powdered up already. This is some turquoise beads I picked up somewhere. You can get actual necklaces and things and crush them up. The only thing about those is sometimes it's fake. So like this is red coral. It's actual red coral. So you crush this up, you're going to have the fine red granules like this. And this one, these are plastic, but these bigger alligator teeth looking pieces, I think those are, see that one's got a, oh, it's just stuff on there. Sometimes they just paint them. Now you crush them up and it's just white inside. So you gotta take a sample. You can pick up stuff like this at yard sales and flea markets and that, and your wife's jewelry box. And
How are you crushing your turquoise?
I'm gonna do that.
Well, do it.
So this is some other stuff. There's all kinds of powders you can use, like lapis has a deeper, richer blue than that vivid blue. So and the thing about the real turquoise is, say you buy a pound bag of it, there's different grades. If you're getting the nicer color with less gravel and rocks and all that other junk in there, it costs more. But whatever it is, there's always, it's a stone that's inside other stones. So you have to go through and pick out the little bits. And this is just a pipe with a cap on it. We just throw our stones in there. I got a steel rod. You can do it like that, break it up, run it through a screen, put it back in, break it up again. I usually do it on the floor. And while I'm pounding it, I'm spinning this around. And then you can shake it up and hit it again. And it's a big procedure to go through. The other stuff looks just as good. It's cheaper and easier to work. See, now I got good granule powder in here. And I just have one of them little cup strainers you put on a cup.
Is this real turquoise?
That's real turquoise.
Wow, I'm not able to crush
Well, you
it. I
gotta,
got it. How do you do that?
like that. You crush your stones up. Takes a lot of practice. But on the floor is the best spot. Excuse me. There you go, Oliver. See you. So it's just a pipe you can pick up at Home Depot with the pipe cap. It doesn't have to be this size. It can be smaller, bigger. And the thing about it is you unscrew that cap, you can dump it on a piece of paper and sort the chunks out. Or like I said, I have that little strainer. You put it on a cup and pour it in there and just shake it around. The smaller stuff goes through. And you could find a finer mesh if you want to sort them by powder and medium granules and that. But a coffee grinder? Not for the real stones. The rocks, that would destroy it right away.
Well, the stone's harder than the stainless steel they have in the.
Yeah. Because when I put the stones in, I try and have it a little higher, and are really good turning tools. You got 0 seconds of tool edge. As soon as you touch it, it kills your tool. So that just doesn't work. I've tried carbide on it too. It kills the carbide right away.
Just use a scraper.
No, just
Sand.
sandpaper. So that takes it right down. Or, what's that? Yeah, the little T-handled diamond hone for your grinder.
Yeah.
I've taken that and spun the wood and just run that back and forth, and it took that rock right down. But then you got CA glue and stuff on your little diamond thing. It cleans off pretty easy, but that worked out really well. Did these go around yet?
No.
Okay. So the first part of the demo, I'm going to make an insert for this lid. And then I'll be making a birdhouse top out of this bottle brush burl. And you can see the procedure going through that. Now you can use metal powders too, because Steve was nice enough to bring in some brass shavings he did. And you can go to a lock shop and say, hey, can I have some of your key scrap? Not your keys, but the stuff from the key machine. And they'll go, yeah, they'll give you a bunch. Just take a jar in and. Yeah, but those usually have little chunk bits like this, but there's also these long skinny things, and they are sharp. They stick into you.
Aluminum powder is also really nice.
Yeah, the aluminum powder,
The contrast, darker wood.
which you can buy it. And I have a metal cutting bandsaw, and I just took a scrap piece of aluminum, put a tray under it, and I just run it through, move it over, run it through, move it over, run it through, and I made myself a whole bunch of brass and aluminum shavings. Okay, here's a couple other pieces. Like, we're still on the overhead?
Yeah, you might want to pull it down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, now this camphor box, oh, that smells good. I inlaid some of the synthetic opal in the top, but this color I don't think lends itself well to this. So if I would have used a different color, that might have looked a little nicer. And the thing about this is you can always clean it out. This is a camphor egg, and it had a couple big voids in there. And so I filled them with the turquoise, and at shows and things, people, it grabs them. They go, ooh, what's that blue stuff? And, well, that's turquoise I inlaid in there. So when I get a nice piece of burl, especially cherry burl and the bottle brush, there's a lot of voids in there. So I will make these little round cookies to inlay in the top of boxes. I've got a whole big thing, all various sizes. Like this one has a couple saw marks on it and some actual malachite in there. And I'll put this on just up against the spindle and bring that up and just turn the outside round, because I will be gluing this piece in and then parting it off because I can get 2 or 3 inserts out of this one piece. And some pieces, they have great big voids in it. Like you can see the smaller voids here, and if it's a great big one, say the size of my finger, you can actually put the chunks, put some glue in there and just dump it in and dump it out, and the whole thing will be lined, kind of looks like a geode. I've done pieces like that. Like I've got this egg I'm working like that big out of a bottle brush burl. It's got some big craters in there. So I've been putting brass in there, so it looks like sparkly gold. And I'm going to name that piece. There's gold in them there, eggs. So kind of look like gold veins going through it. Some of the smaller ones will be cut flush and sanded flush, but then you got the big craters with the chunks down inside.
Can you partially fill it with sawdust or then?
Yeah, that was my next point. see, like, say this big piece here. That's an actual piece of bark I put in there because this had such a big hole. But instead of just filling up this whole thing, if that was a ½ inch deep, I will fill it with sawdust or wood chips and stuff first, get it up close, and then fill it with the stone, so I'm not using so much material. Okay, we'll pass these around so you can look at them. Here, put this one on there too. Now, this piece, some of these, there was an opening around part where the bark of the tree comes up to the wood. So I started filling that, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to grind a trough all the way around. The ones you see there which I did that, and this is how I did that. This one, the top broke off, that's why that piece is still on there. And I've got some fill to do here. So once I get this cut, I'm gonna drill a hole and put a piece of metal all the way down through, that way the top don't break off. Now this is a Norfolk piece that I finished a while ago, but now going back, because around some of the knots sometime, there are voids and holes, and I'm going to fill those with the powdered man-made turquoise. And that Tucker's turning stuff, I don't know what it is. It's hard. I heated up a poker completely red hot and stuck it down in there. Nothing. No smoke, no nothing. Didn't melt. So I don't know if it's something like Corian or that type of thing. What's that?
Corian would have melted, it's plastic.
Okay. It's something that it doesn't do that. Okay, now when I do a box, this one I roughed out a while ago because it's camphor, and camphor changes shape a lot. It moves a lot. So I like doing the underside of the lid first, get that completely done. This surface and all of this. I think we got some glue stuck up under here. I'll add to that later. All right, I want to mask up first. Now everybody should wear a mask wood turning because you can catch COVID from wood dust. All right, the inside, I'm just going to use a round nose scraper in here. Add some light. And get that back out of the.
Move the light a little bit off center, the camera. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
If it's okay with you.
Yeah, I can still see. Now, of course, it's out of round a little bit. I'm just going to do a little cleanup here first to chew it up. That's not bad. Now, if I just did a scraping cut, that produces some torn grain. So I'm going to turn the tool on a 45-degree angle and be rubbing the bevel as I come across. Because this is end grain, so I should be cutting from the lower part to the higher, from there this way. The side grain, you cut from there down. Just adjust, come into my cut. This is a bevel rubbing cut with the scraper on a 45-degree angle. When you do this right, it's like 400 grit sandpaper. And it smells good, so it's a good thing Bruce isn't here today. He doesn't like the camphor. You smell it? Okay, let's have a look at that, see what it looks like. Okay, that's pretty good. Got a little, one little mark there. So I don't know if you can see that line coming around here. Okay, so I could work and get it out, or I can just come in and make a groove and decorate it. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually fill these grooves with a material and make it a decoration. Like if you saw that email that went out, there was one box with just some rings on the top. All right, so that surface is done. This surface is done. I should do that good cut across there. I want to do the outer edge. And I'm just truing it up. This one I'm going to make a little smaller, because this is the part that fits inside the box. Okay, up under the edge. True this edge up first. Now, right now, we're not concerned with this portion of it because we cut that along with this, the base. So I just want to get this part done. Nice bevel rubbing cut with the spindle gouge. Back to the parting tool. All right, I want to give it a quick little sand here. Okay, that's done. Now we take this off since the underside and all of this is totally done. And on my camper boxes or cedar, I don't put finish on the inside. That way you open it up, you get a really nice aroma. Okay, the base is going to be my jam chuck to do the top. As I'm going to turn this and we'll glue this in, then I'll turn the birdhouse top also. So that's the one we're putting the opal in. I'm going to eyeball that. See, that's exactly right on there. Okay, now I'm going to go inside, just hollow out enough where I could get the cap to fit in there snug. I need to true up this top, hollow this out a little bit, down about a ½ inch where it fits in tight. And we adjust the fit later so it fits properly. Okay. Just going to go back to my round nose scraper, check my height first. See, it's just slightly above center. Okay, when trying to fit a box lid or any two pieces, if you just do enough where it starts to fit inside, instead of doing the whole thing, if you make it too loose, you can adjust in a little deeper where it's still going to grab it. Another piece of important equipment, this is called a hot air compressor. Get all the junk out of it. See, that's just starting to go in. Still a little bit too tight. It's always a good idea to remove less material than you think you need. I could probably pound that in, but that's going to be too tight, so I don't want it that tight. Otherwise, it might not come out. Let's give it one hit with that. And sometimes if you don't clear the little crumbs off, okay, now that's perfect. I'll line the grain up. Okay, so bring our center up. This is just for some center up. This is just for support. Now I want to recess this down in, and it only needs to be down in there about 1/8 of an inch. Because if you go too deep, I'll probably go through the bottom of this. Switching over to a round scraper. Get our calipers. And you can go with 2 or 3 different inserts if you want, like 3 different places so they kind of overlap each other. That can be a really neat thing. I think we're just going to get this out of the way. All right, I want to put a piece of tape around here, just prevent this from popping off. Even though it's a perfect fit. And whenever you tape it, tape away from you, because if you do it this way, when it's spinning, if you touch this edge, it's just going to peel off. But if you do it this way, it'll just hold it down tighter. Does anybody want me to pass the tape around so you can look at it? Okay. Know what tape is. I don't know. I got that from Herb Williams when he died. His wife gave me his whole shop, so, and that tape came with it. Okay, so I can see my mark out here where I need to to insert my piece. Come in with the parting tool. Now, if my cutting edge is right on center when I come in, it'll cut it really nice. And I just need to make it relatively flat. It'll be filled up with glue. Check my fit. Doesn't quite go in yet. Need to widen it just slightly more. That'll go in there now. Okay, now since there's going to be no finish on the inside, I like to seal that. Otherwise, the glue, since this is ingrained and this is a soft wood, will pull itself down through and stain it in different spots. It just doesn't look right. So if I do at least 1 coat of lacquer, And this dries in about 2 minutes. So, has anybody had one of these break before? Yeah, we just had another one go. And we keep it in our craft room on top of this thing, which has a lip that come up. And one of the thin ones, that seems to be the one that breaks a lot. Just filled out and glued everything that was in there down. I've had them break on my desk at my studio. And they even changed the bottles. And I think it was one of the newer bottles that broke. The new ones are a lot stiffer. But always try and keep them in a container of some kind, whether it's in your refrigerator or on your desk. And that way you won't have that problem of the glue going over. Okay, we're good. Now this fits in there a little loose, which is fine because I was going to cut a groove wider. And I'm not quite an 1/8 inch deep. So I decided I'm going to put this side in because I know when I cut it off, there will be more voids and openings. This has some too, which will look really nice, but I can probably get 3 of them out of this, 2 for sure. So I want to go with the medium consistency glue. Just put a lot of it on there, because we will be flooding it, and it doesn't have to be 100% covered. Just try and, oh, what happened? It's not fitting down in there now, so something happened. So we'll clean that off and just cut it a little deeper. Some of the glue must have set up. And if I'm doing a harder, denser wood like this, I won't seal it, but the camphor kind of requires it. And if you're ever taking a piece out of the chuck with the intention of putting it back in, most chucks, these jaws are numbered, like that's number 1. So I'll just mark it. That way I get it back in the exact same spot, and it's going to be true then. If you get 90 degrees or something, your piece is going to wobble a little bit. Okay, that fits in there a lot nicer. I did already. I've done that a few times, and there's just really weird blotches here and there, and it just does not look good. Okay, just give that a second, and we're going to take this off. Should it work? Lazy man's way. So we're glued in. I'm gonna let this sit a while, work on the other piece, come back, and we'll part that off. So that's what we want. First thing I want to do is make the tenon. Those other pieces around? Oh, yeah, thank you. So I want to make this bottom tenon that fits inside the birdhouse. So I'll just, the wrong one. What? Do you have a question, sir?
He wants to know if I'm single.
Oh. She's not. She's plural. Okay. I have a birdhouse base done out of a foxtail palm seed with the nest and eggs in, so I want to cut the tenon that this fits over. Kind of eyeball the center on this. So this will be a natural edge, and I think that's going to be the bottom side. Well, I was going to do this. So looking at our piece here, there's kind of a bark inclusion that comes across, and that tells me that there will be more voids in it, which makes the piece look a little more interesting. So I'll put that on this side. Just kind of get an idea of the span of it. Up about right there. That looks pretty good. It's not going to go anywhere. We hope. Oh, I know. That's why I just said that's not going to go anywhere. I just didn't want to take that off. I was being lazy. Better if we did it the right way. With the other chuck, and there's a bigger hole and not one of these, I can go in all the way up to here and it'll work just fine. Back in the hole. Is it good now? Okay, just take a parting tool, go in first. This is the one I wanted the face part on. have a look at it, see what it looks like. Okay, we'll cut in a little deeper. Whoop. How many people got more than one AAW magazine last week? So I got 3 of them. Somebody in our club down there got 3 also, and they brought them in to the meeting. Okay, so our undercut the bottom of the birdhouse part a little bit. There's a couple little bark inclusions on there. Now I want to glue that because the bark is quite fragile. So if I want to keep the bark, I need to glue completely around on this side before I get too close on the other side. And you got to watch the fumes on this CA glue, because if it starts getting you in your eyes, you step back and wave it away. How much time I got, Mr. President?
We already had a meeting, so go ahead.
All right. Well, I need another 40 minutes. Okay, the underside is pretty much done. I'm going to get rid of that sharp corner. And even if that doesn't fit this right, I'll be able to widen this hole a little bit or use another one to fit it properly. I'll remove some of the material up top, switch into a bowl gouge. And oftentimes I'm doing these burrows, I'll stop and look at it before I get it too small, because there might be some really interesting stuff here. And then I'll just cut the bottom up to match that. The edge is still about a 1/4 inch, and I want it thinner than that. Because sometimes you can be cutting and have something really nice, and you cut just so much more and it disappears. I know Carl had that happen to him several times. Plus, sometimes there's a big void right in the center where that stem's going to be, and it'll just pop right off. So I need to look at that, and sometimes I'll have to glue that and fill it just to get it to act properly. See, now it just got a lot darker. That tells me there's something right there. Some bark inclusion or a knot or something. So I just have to be gentle, and there's a dark line now, so that may, okay, it's just some inclusions of some kind. It's not bad. It's okay to rub your bevel on the metal parts, as long as you don't rub the cutting edge on it. Okay, we're done with the top and the base. See, that almost fits in there. I can grind this opening a little bigger. So this one is ready for me to grind around the edge. We'll get the other piece ready too, so we can do all our inlaying at the same time. I need that piece. Always like to snug them up just to quell any vibrations that may come from your chuck not being tight on there. Retighten the chuck. Okay. Bring up our center first before we cut that off. Now, most people like a little bit of a dome on the top of their box or hollow vessels. So I'm going to start right up next to it. Is that okay there? Okay. I'm purposely cutting at a little bit of an angle. And we don't part it off completely with the tailstock on. Okay, now I need to come in alongside my insert and widen that hole, just because it looks better than a really skinny line. And if you do a V groove instead of a straight down one, and say it's too wide or you're doing a couple, if you V groove it, you can shave it down, and then the width of your groove will change. It'll get a little smaller. Oh, it's got some nice stuff on there. You also want to feel it too and see if, hey, this place is spongy. It's going to come flying off of there. Now I have this piece. I can flatten this on the belt sander, and yeah, I can get two more out of this one piece here. So anybody want this to try one?
somebody else that
He's diluted. He doesn't, you never have enough wood.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm coming in at a 45-degree angle. To create a V groove. I'm going to stop and check my width, see if it's appropriate. I want that a little wider, knowing that I'm going to shorten it slightly too when I clean it up. I want to seal that groove I cut in there because I've done that before on camper. And cut down into the camper, and then you got kind of a ring of glue that's blotchy all over the place. So now we'll take this out of the chuck, and I did mark which jaw it was in. Yeah, there's a lot of torn grain in this portion, but once we do the inlay, we'll be cutting that down anyway. Or maybe we'll just fill it. Okay. Anybody remember Wizard of Oz? What's that? But he ended up that knowing he had a good brain all along.
Do something else with that. Do you need to light?
Well, I'm going to adjust it. So I'm just figuring out what we're doing here. Oh, we got one there.
Might want to lower the boom.
That in here. Oh, we got one there.
Might want to lower the boom.
Thank you. Could you get that box of the turquoise? Yeah, I'll bring it down. Okay, it's over far too. It's not directly over. Should maybe pull this back here. Is that good? Okay. I'll do this one first. Throw down a piece of wax paper. And I usually have a piece of copy paper, which I fold in half and then open back up for the spillage. You will always have spillage. If you don't, you're not doing it right. This is my dinner tray. Now these palm seeds, we can also inlay into those. It looks pretty cool. My buddy Herbie was inlaying insides of peppermill, the turquoise, and then he would work the turquoise into here, and we'd put the nut for the top of the peppermill up inside there. They look really cool. And my buddy Tom used to make pendants out of these foxtail palm seeds because the pattern on them is just so cool. So when I put the powder in, I hit it with the thin CA glue first, which locks it into place, and then I go over it with the medium. This has some good size things. I'm going to throw a couple of the large granules in first and dump some on. Does anybody have a piece of paper that I can have and fold? And
Oh, you got it. It's free.
free, okay. That's perfect. It's already folded. So it's just easy to pick this up and pour it right back in. So if I just do that and spread it around a little, it'll fill the groove. Is that good on the camera? And some of these holes are too small for this size granule. Now I could do rings on the side and fill them. You can do them anywhere. Whether it's the medium size or the big. That way I'm not just gluing them down randomly to the top. So some of these are sticking up above the finished surface. And it's good not to glue stuff over the top of the debris on here. Otherwise it glues it down to the paper. Ask me how I know that. I saw Cindy do it once. So we're just going around, and it's important you squeeze the bottle and make a drip and let that drip touch. Do not touch the plastic to that, or the stones will go attach right to it and they'll pull it out of your groove. See, I have a drop here. That drop is touching and it just sucks it down into there.
Did you spray the top before you?
With the lacquer?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was just like cherry or some other bottle brush or something, I wouldn't do that. But this, I'm not finishing the inside. If I was putting finish on the inside, I already would have done that. That way the glue, when it wicks down through, would not. Now, we do not want to spray this stuff on fresh glue, the thin, because if there's a pocket of it, it'll smoke and this big white foam thing will come up and it's all ingrained between your nuggets. Now I want to go with the smaller, or the powder. I usually don't do the granules and the medium granules and then that. I do either the medium and this, or the big and this, or just the powder. And this is just a little coffee stir. Because if there's glue in there and you get too much on there, it can wick up and then you got a giant glob of this stuff. And if it's not like that, you can get it out of the way there. We didn't do the center. I just take my finger and smooth it around. But you definitely want it down in all the voids.
Good stuff.
Yeah. See, and I'm pushing these granules and the glue has not set yet. So some of those are moving around. But this powder will fill in all the voids. And you're going to have to do this. Powder will fill in all the voids. And you're going to have to do this at least up. And if you're sanding or cutting it down just a little, there's going to be some openings that have showed up or shown up. And sometimes it'll clog up the top of the void, and then you do that and it sinks down and you can fill it up more. go for some more thin. Lock this stuff in place. And sometimes if the void is bigger, I will take the medium glue and put it down inside there and then pour the stuff on. But if it's too much, it wicks up and any excess you have will get glued down. So you can't just dump it off easily. See, now there's a couple little openings here and there that once in a while I'll just gingerly pinch some on, but usually I just leave it. Oops. Okay, it didn't foam up anywhere. Kind of a bigger hole there. All right, so that's ready to go back on the lathe and trim it down. This the one we just did? Okay. Now there's pieces of wood here. I try and clean that out. There's some other debris in here, some chunks. So I'm just going to pour it into the big one instead of putting the big chunks into the fine powder. And when you're done, put the lids on right away. Okay. That's one little goof up and you, oh, I was going to do a little bit in here. See, like these seeds, you can just and if you're doing the side of a piece, you got to do like that section, wait for the glue to dry, turn it, do that section. You got to work areas all the way around. Same thing with these seeds. Yeah, and you can see how that shows up really cool. Here, pass that around. Yeah, this guy be in.
Yeah.
Quit holding on to it. Pass it around. That's how you make sales at shows. People pick it up and they can't let go of it. Okay. Okay, and that's the man-made turquoise. If you want to look on the inside, I don't know if you open that bag, but okay, now as this, I want to do a little grooving on it, and you can get as creative as you want to be on doing the grooves. I'll be grinding. I'm just going to do a little bit part way around. So, and I may open up some of these other spots just because if there's a whole lot of it on there, it's a little more interesting. Like say this one, for example, there were absolutely no voids up in here. So there's nothing there. You got this really pretty man-made opal around there and nothing up here. So I'm going to come back and grind some openings in that and fill them. It'll just make the piece a lot more interesting. So those little birdhouses, I get $85 for those at a show. No.
You sold what?
Houses, I get $85 for those at a show. No.
You sold one?
What's that?
You sold one of them?
Oh, no, I saw a lot of those. I think I sold 8 at one show, or 9. Okay. And if you're getting older and you can't see quite as well, you need to use proper equipment so you could see clearly. Some people I've taught are just so damn resistant to that. Like Herb Williams used to come to my studio a couple days a week, and he'd never bring his glasses. Herb, you can't see. Bring your stuff. So I just have this is a Weecher brand. It's just like a Dremel. It's a little round grinding burr on here. It's got like little groove teeth all the way around.
What's the name of that again?
Well, this is Weecher, Wecher. I think they're a little better quality than Dremel. And this end piece here is like a little drill chuck. I can open it and I don't have to change the collets in it, which Dremel has that too. There, now, I did some like just along here, and there's a few nice looking things up here, but I want to open up some voids up in this area that I can fill those just to make it a little more interesting. And stay away from straight lines because it just doesn't look as good as something natural. Because I'm just following the edge around here where the bark meets the wood. And up here, there's some inclusions of some kind. So they have some darkness and some change in the grain around them. If we do that portion, it can look pretty good. Because this man-made opal granules aren't as fine as that man-made turquoise stuff. Where did the other one go? I'm just going to do this one instead of one here. So the bigger nuggets, I've only used those once when we were in North Carolina at Cindy's family reunion. I took a lathe with me, my little Carbotech lathe, which will do 6 inches around. I took a bunch of pen kits, bottle stopper kits, and there were 13 of us there. The youngest was 61, and 11 of us turned wood. There was like, 7 nice pens made and bottle stoppers. And her one cousin who lives up near Asheville cut some grooves in the side, and we filled it with the nuggets, these bigger chunks instead of the finer stuff. And we just filled that whole void with the medium CA glue, and it looked really good. Those nuggets, they just sparkle out there. I'm not using any of those on here because the smaller granules will work good. Here, we'll go with the green. Now the white, like this white, when you put the glue on it, it turns green. So if you're planning on it stay in that color, it will not. Some of the other ones kind of change color too, but they all get a deeper, richer. This is kind of a bluish purple. And sometimes I will, is that okay on the light?
No, it's a little washed out.
Okay. Sometimes if it's a bigger void, I'll take the medium glue and get it down in that groove. Wipe the excess off the top. That way I can just pour it on like that, tap it quick and go like that, and then it's filled up pretty much. You're not going to get it smooth like the one we just did. And all right. But we're going to fill up the rest of the air pockets with CA glue, the medium. So that worked out pretty good. I'm going to continue that way. Otherwise, I would just do like I did before, put it on. Yeah, that's ugly right now.
Yeah, but once you see it.
Yeah. It's like Mickey, you know, after a little work. He's a beautiful guy.
A little work, a lot of work.
See, otherwise I would just fill it like that, take the thin glue, again, not over the top of the chunks, over on the edge of the paper. Get my drop. Only let the drop touch and not the rest of it. See, now that glued it in really nice. So, I think, well, I was going to do that whole one, but we did the edge of this one. And smear it around, get it in the grooves. So I would put the magnifiers down. I could see it a whole lot better. And the quality of your work makes a big difference. I remember way back when I was about 42, just started turning, or 43. I brought in a box and I go, "Hey, Carl Spindler, how you like this?" And he goes, "There's scratches all over it." And I look at it, I go, "There's not a scratch on it." And he went, "Put these on, look at it." So I didn't realize my up close vision was getting worse. Well, Carl, we stopped at Dee Trudeau's house on the way back from North Carolina, and she said to say hi.
Okay.
You know, you remember Dee? She's 87 now and still turns wood.
Inspiration.
Yeah, she's still in pretty good health. Must be her Filipino background. Okay, now see, I'm just carefully doing that all the way around. If I tip it, we're going to lose some of it. I'll drop in a few particles here or there. Come over here, apply the thin glue first. There's the thin wicks in right away and glues everything down. And there are particles sticking up above the top. And see, that went kind of from a blue, greenish purple to almost solid green. You see the change on that? You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're done with that portion. There's more that needs to be done there, but you got the idea. And these little trays are for beading, which are very good for cleaning this stuff up. This stuff is kind of expensive. I mean, that little vial there was like $9. But I got an email from Craft Supply saying price reduction, and they were selling these for like $3.50. So we went in and bought most of them. Get the lid back on. There's also these cabochons they're different sizes. This is the smaller version. And I've yet to put those in a piece. So let's get rid of this. Oh, one more thing. Okay. Now we filled it with the thin glue. So now I want to go back on top with the medium consistency. And just know if there's a void and glue went through, you can glue yourself to it, like I just almost did. Then what's the rule? Don't glue yourself to anything you can't pick up. And what's the rule for people around that person? You laugh and point and take a video before you help them get unglued.
Does anyone do that to you?
No, I've usually been alone when I've done that. See, like you, it was before cell phones, so. See, like you, it was before cell phones, so. Whew. Whew, yeah. Now the medium, you can put the accelerator on right away. And some glue did come through the bottom. Okay, now we're ready to go back on the lathe. That's I wonder where that was. Yeah, and there are some openings over here, but I want to clean this off first and then see where I need to refill. Find number one jaw. We're right there. Okay. And just remember, when you're putting something in the lathe chuck, hold it from the end. Do not hold it here, because here you're going to hold it off at a little bit of an angle, and your piece is going to, rock. Okay, now if I come in with a tool and touch this, these high spots, or some of them are going to chip out. I like to sand it a bit first, get rid of the high spots where that can snag and just tear them out. So I'll do it with the drill. I mean, I've put it on the belt sander before and it's blown chunks off. You want to go very lightly. I usually do it with the lathe off, just like that, very lightly. The top chunks are off of here, and I'll get it all down to here, and then I'll turn the lathe on in reverse, and then go back and power sand it with like new 120 grit. But to start off, just to create less work for yourself, if you do this, you could also do it by hand with a piece of like fresh 180 grit. And just don't push on it hard, go lightly, just to get these top chunks off. Well, with the opal also. Yeah, same thing. So, you know, I would power sand this, but this is a demo and we just don't do that. But I could show you a little bit here. And once it's down like that, I would go ahead and power sand this whole top, get it down, blow the dust that's in the crevices that opened up, and then refill them. And I'll do that once, twice. See, now we'll pass this around again. You can feel where I sanded and feel that, because these chunky spots, pieces will blow out, then you just got to fill them more. And if we can avoid that, that's just less work for yourself. Okay, and and sometimes if it's just a couple spots, Like if it's just one spot here that I need to refill, I'll just do that and I'll hand sand it out. Or just take this and just go like that. Like this, I would start with maybe this drill bit or hand sanding and just. And there was a little foam that was created there, and I can pick that out later, but. So now I got all the high chunks off, so I'm going to put it back on the lathe. Where's the little chuck? And I have one of these little chucks, and I just grab that tenon. The tenon's going to be going inside the base, so I don't care if there's really chuck marks on it. People are looking at the overall piece and the eggs inside. Why can't they make everything one size? It's like the Nova chucks. Why can't they make them tight in that way? Like every other chuck on the planet. Or keep them in Australia. Okay. Now this is the top that broke off and was glued on. That's why it's wobbling. So usually I do these on my small lathe, and I have a center like this one. I took the point out, and that would go right inside like that and be secure because of the shape of my smaller one. It just locks that, and I can power sand as aggressive as I want on here. But we're going to try this one with a scraper. You don't want to use a gouge on these because it kills them right away. This stuff, and remember, a scraper on the outside of our piece, the top cutting edge, you want at dead center or slightly below on the outside. If we're on inside with the tool level, dead center or slightly above. This is the outside. Going backwards. Put this on because parts may come out. Just a nice, very light cut. Yeah, it's already severely dulled at one spot, so I'll angle it over here, get a fresh edge. Let's have a look at it. Man-made opal. See, I still didn't get all the way down, so I need to do it some more. Okay, that's still not all the way down flat. My preferred method is to take the drill, go in reverse, and then come in and just go back and forth, take that all the way down, take it off the lathe, look at it under the light, and go, okay. there's some, that's real shiny and that's real shiny. So that was a low spot. I can just fill those with glue right here and redo that. This needs to come down more. Of course, I need to fill that hole and do something with that. Good. Like this one needs another, most of these pieces aren't done, completed, but a couple coats of lacquer. And you get this stuff out in the sun, it absolutely sparkles. Like Cindy has a couple hair picks she made where on the lathe we cut like 3 grooves across here all the way around. And well, we fill one with turquoise.
Turquoise, glow powder.
Yeah, and the other one we put glow powder in it. So you charge it up and it glows in the dark. So it was really cool. And that's going to be about it. Any more questions? There's got to be a question or two.
Lee?
Yes.
Do deep holes in bowls or something like that?
Yeah.
Are you still using the CA glue or do you use resin?
Well, I usually use the CA glue. If I'm doing one, sometimes I'll cast resin in it with the pearlized powder in it. But if I'm filling it with, say, the turquoise or even the opal, I'll fill the deep hole up with wood chips and sawdust first. So I'm only doing a thin layer across the top. Unless I want it, that deep void, like I said before, I just cover it with glue, dump it in, dump it out, and it'll look like a geode down inside there. That could look pretty cool. As far as the deep holes, yeah, you just fill that in and tap it down. So you're no more than 1/8 inch, and then fill it with your material on top of that. You hit the chips with CA glue first to solidify them. And if there's a hole all the way through the piece, I'll put tape across one side and pour the material in and glue it. Pull the tape in and glue it off, or sand the tape residue off, and then fill it from that side. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. Like Banksia pods with those oval holes all around. I've done a lot of pieces with those where they're an 1/8 inch thick and you fill them with turquoise or something. They just really pop. But think about your pieces. I mean, I have a tool handle I made out of cherry burl. It's a little tiny hollowing tool. I had this great big crack void coming through, so I filled that with turquoise. And some of the turquoise is a little bit on the greenish side. It's a lot of different colors too. So, any more questions? Okay. We're gonna take a break or something, or?
Yes, then take 15 minutes, clean up, hand out some,
Here's a recommendation.
bring back tickets and sell
Go
some
to
raffle
Harbor
tickets.
Freight, has a close quarter drill.
Somebody wants to collect money for the raffle
I'm
tickets.
sorry. It's a close quarter drill, which sticks out, game much, the handle comes down.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah, I find that the best rather than using.
Well, I like the 45-degree one.
Yeah,
That works
well,
good. I got one that was Larry's, but the switch broke on it.
or you can replace the switch.
I know, I just haven't done it yet.
That's like me.
Thanks, you came through nice and clear.
Well, good. I'm glad. I've never seen one of those before.
Yeah, they've had them around for years, but this is a nice small one. It goes right to my hearing aids.
Yeah.
And I can control it with my phone also, so.
Right here. Yeah,
Double E.
W-E, okay.
Double E.
Yeah, I find that I have a weak chair as well.
Yeah.
I also have a Ford.
Can you help me get this? Because I can't quite see. Just drop it down the shirt. Yeah, I got it for the Wheater's just nice and
What are you
compact.
using for a bit? I'm having problems finding good carving bits to work on my weak chair. How much are the tickets?
Buck a piece, 6 for $5. If you brought in a a scoop for the thing, you get a free ticket.